Hinterhof und Deutsche Bank, FBI und Scotland Yard, Flensburg, das BK, haben unsere Daten da.
What was the original idea behind starting up Kraftwerk then as more of a defined group?
Flo and myself, we were this conceptually that we wanted a place where we could actually work, because Germany there's no music industry or no fabrication like you can rely on, or that is existing, or taking people picking people up, you know, an exploitation system that takes people from the streets, fabricates them into other situations, and then marketing channels, productivity. And we had this idea of, since we didn't have that anywhere, and we're not politically, we don't like it on the other way, so we would be our own factory, our own industrial productivity. And then we started renting some space in Düsseldorf center and some workshops. And we're still actually in the same place, only now we have taken over other parts of the building. So it's quite magnetic, and we started there producing and making our own sounds tapes with cassette recorders or simplistic. I had a 2-track Wavox machine, and then we made all the sound. And since we didn't have enough money to mix it down in the studio with mixing boards, we met Connie, and he helped us out. So we actually worked together, but he had no part in producing the music.
Can you explain the concept of industrial country music or industrial Vox music?
Yeah, it is at least what we're trying to do, living in this industrial zone, Ruhrgebiet, which is like where the Rhine and the Ruhr crosses. Is the biggest industrial zone in Europe, and it's like stretches out over 100 kilometers, and it's like 20 million people. So when we were touring all the time, we went from Düsseldorf to Dortmund, Essen, all the cities and factories, and just since we were into noise anyway, so we kind of like industrial production, and we had this vision of our music being like the voice of this industrial and Germany also has no popular music. When we started, it didn't have no popular music because we have no living culture, you know. Now people in their homes, a big amateur scene where everybody's fiddling with their electronic equipment, communicating with electronics, and there's thousands of people, especially young people. They send cassettes to each other, they make their own little hobby kits of synthesizers, and so I think, I'm not saying we made them do it, but it's kind of, we are part of this scene. It's a big amateur scene. We would line ourselves in there as being amateurs, because really we are very amateuristic in the sense of the word, that we love, we do what we do because we love what we work. And so today there's quite a number of kids starting directly with electronics, whereas we would have started historically with piano and...
Right, well, because you've got the amateur.
Yeah, it's really like in Germany and now in England over the last 2 years they have been very slow because they hang so much into the 60s and with guitars and this whole rock. Since they have a popular culture already, they made one up in the, probably with the Beatles generation. Before that they didn't have it either.
Yeah.
Because they were like Americanized.
When you say Germany has no popular culture or traditional culture, which might be misinterpreting what you said.
Yeah, I'm saying Germany had had a living culture in the 20s. Then, like we all know, politically it turned, to say the least, historical.
Yeah.
The country turned historical, political. So all these new people had to go.
Yeah.
They went to America, they went to France, wherever, you know. Bertolt Brecht or Kurt Weill. From the musical side, from the film side, they went to America. And then still some people were left, but they were like, with the war and everything, that was bombed out also. So after the war, everything was replaced with, turned into American culture. With Coca-Cola and whatever, whiskey. So we were in a way lucky since we lived in the British sector, because their system was not that overpowering. Like you can note that it has taken the Frankfurt region, where it's the longest. When you travel to Germany, you can see that's the most Americanized part. So where we live is still very low key. The British have been fairly low key. These two streams of culture that we had, the modernistic and the more, let's say, pathetic, historical, Teutonic, both streams were wiped out, like one before the Nazis and one with the war. So, when we started or knew that there was maybe more to life than a house and a Mercedes-Benz for the husband and a Volkswagen for the housewife, we started. We shocked, you know, it was like a shock treatment. And a couple of years later we found out, oh, that's very good, because since we have nothing, we can make something. So it's a very good chance. And I think similar, at the same time period, late 60s, early 70s, a lot of people have felt that in other areas like filmmaking. We have worked with Rainer Fassbinder and two of his films, with some of our music. Other filmmakers, literature. So like now today, in the 80s or late 70s, you have a German culture going, and it's a very good chance, because you don't need to push away older people or father figures that dominate. We have no father figures, so we might as well get ourselves something going.
Devise that new
yes, it's very open. It's this old fascination with science, I think, in Germany, that we share, because we are like a mix between music and science. Germany is not really big on the entertaining side of the world. They're not very entertaining. They're more
Serious.
yeah, well, yeah, in a way, it's not. That's more Mediterranean in Europe.
Kraftwerk has been a major force in making disco and electronic popular music respectable. And disco is a very entertainment-oriented music style.
Yeah, but also it's a lifestyle for us. Same, living there in Germany. We would never go out and listen to a band like you do, like in America. They all go to a club and listen to a band, which is boring. Why spend 2 hours listening to one band when you can spend 2 hours listening to 100 records? So we always had records and loudspeakers, and we like this environment. I spend most of my youth meeting friends, and there would be an occasional concert once every month or 2 months. Maybe today more over the years, but mostly we'd be going out to discos. So it was our environment, technical environment, and that's where we had this thing, especially since electronic music had this taboo of electronic music is serious only, which we found ours reducing, because it's perfect, and we like to dance ourselves, so why shouldn't our music be, it didn't seem realistic for us. So we made Trans Europe Express, and in America even black people, they liked the rhythms, and was like, I think, one of the few white music that gets played on black radio.
You would design your music to be played in discos.
Yeah, sometimes. Because we like pulses and heartbeats and, like I said, body functions. Very,
It's like biomechanics.
yeah, minimalistic music. Simple, and we do that ourselves also. There's different aspects where we made some film or music, but especially we found also maybe it has to do with the other German electronic bands. They are into this droning meditation only, and also the so-called avant-garde electronic music, where we feel kind of like dissociated from. We'd rather leave and go to a discotheque.
And yet that's very
Just drag one of these serious electronics composers into a club and onto the dance floor, and he'd be lost. He'd be, yes, but it's my body. What charge? It's my body. But music was maybe the most reactionary form. It took music, maybe it was the last art form to adopt the 20th century. And I think it had to do with the hardware, with the electronic instruments from the 40s, the tape recorder.
Uno, due, tre, quattro. Uno, due, tre, quattro. Uno, due, tre, quattro.